Hello everyone, I'm home. Welcome back to my channel. Well, I wanted to take you on another little trip to the gingerbread shed. My friend Sherry said, let's go back to the gingerbread shed now that the Christmas open house is over and there won't be as many people and we can see a little better. And it really worked out nice because there were only a few people there. We got to talk to the owner a little bit and we got to see more. She had moved some things around, but we saw so much more this time than we saw last time. And we just took our time walking around and really enjoying it. Got a lot of ideas on decorating, saw a lot of pretty things that we hadn't seen before, and I took some pictures for you. But as we were walking around between the sheds, it was very cold, and I got really cold. My feet were cold. And we'd go back in her store to warm up and talk to her for a little bit. But we were in the half price shed and she had some items we really liked, but in that shed some of the price tags had faded out and were pretty old. So we took pictures of those items and took them inside to show her, and then she gave us a price, and then if we wanted to get them for half price we'd go back out and grab them. So that's what we did, and we had a really good day. We really did. I thought this little cupboard was just like what I need for either my pie dishes or my little quilts, which I can make this. But I got to thinking, right by the door as you go into my store, I have one of these boxes and I have it decorated up. So I may have to bring it in and paint it up and make it into one of my little cupboards, but we just had the best time in there and saw so many things that we hadn't seen before. We laughed and had a good time, and she and I kind of rearranged things. Like if people buy things, we put something back in its place and we make her shelves look nice, and we were just having fun. Here's a little quilt I thought was awful sweet. This is the kind of thing I like for my doll beds, and there were a lot of little cupboards and candle holders and candle cubbies. But here's what I bought. I saw this little jug, and I'm going to tell you about it later on, what I did with it in my fake it till you make it kind of thing. Back before I was able to afford any Crocs at all, I used to buy things that kind of look like Crocs and paint them. I've told you that before, and I don't have to do that anymore. I have some Crocs and I don't need any more. This one was laying out in the grass, but someone painted it like that, and I don't know why anyone would paint it to look like that, but she sold it to me for half price for a really good deal, so I took it home and did something with it, and I'll show it to you later. But we didn't stop for lunch because we were both anxious to get home and do some crafting and get busy on some things that I wanted to do my jug and do it over. So after we got done, she dropped me off at home, and she went on home, and I went in and started working. So after we went to Planet Fitness, we stopped at Restore. And Restore had found pallets full of priced stuff from the previous year, and we're bringing out stuff by the palletfuls. And I always like these vintage. This one may not be vintage. You can still crochet these to this day, but I love them because they remind me of my grandma. She used to always make these kinds of things. And then my friend Dima used to do these all the time, the plastic canvas. This one was really pretty, and it had the most beautiful sequins, beads, and little, I guess they were two beads, a sequin, a bead, and a little silver bead. It was beautiful, guys. I almost bought it, but I don't need it. And then I picked up some big, huge, heavy coffee mugs for my sons and for us for hot chocolate, because when you have hot chocolate you want a lot. So I picked these up. They were huge and they're only 50 cents there, and these were in perfect condition. And I got the Starbucks one for my son's girlfriend, and he said, those are really expensive, Mom, if you go to Starbucks. So I looked it up, and on Etsy and eBay and such, it's selling anywhere between $10 and $36. And I thought, okay, I'm glad I picked it up for 50 cents, and she's going to love it. And then I spotted this sleigh, and I thought, oh my gosh, I love that sleigh, even though I didn't need another one. I've got two. But I thought it was awful pretty, and I went over and looked, and the price was $1, and it's pretty big. And for $1, I couldn't pass it up. I figured I would paint it. But when I got it home and set it on the table, I thought, no, I like the color of it. So I'll show you in a minute what I did with it. I picked this up for Brad. He likes anything nature, woodsy, fishing, anything like that. And it was a really pretty, I guess, a duck decoy. and it was 50 cents, and I cleaned it up when I got home, and it'll look pretty sitting among his things. Then I found these tassels. There were 4 sets of 2 for $1.50. And if you've ever shopped for tassels, you know how expensive those are. And I can use those on my living room drapes. But for right now, I hung them on my Christmas tree, my Nativity tree, because, well, I'll show you in a minute. I bought them for $1.50. I knew that was an incredible deal. I smelled them to make sure they didn't stink because I didn't really want to have to wash them. And I tucked them in with my tree because everything on my tree is gold and bronze and orange. And this is the mantle scarf that I have, and it has tassels on it, and it's right next to the tree. Then I found this little package for 50 cents of little miniature things, and I'm not sure what I'll do with it, but I'm sure I'll probably use them to decorate in one of my doll houses or one of my little Christmas houses. Found this vintage apron for 50 cents. I about flipped. It's beautiful. I looked, and I have about 6 vintage Christmas aprons, and I just love them. And again, in a few minutes, I'll show you what I did with it. Then Rosie always had a bunch of little Crocs sitting right inside her door on a little dry sink with all kinds of candy canes in it. So I've been doing that every year. I've been putting little candy cane Crocs out, and it reminds me of her. Then I found this really nice wreath for $2, and I smelled it, and it was clean. And so I'll show you in a little bit what I'm gonna do with that. And then Kevin found this. Kevin likes cartoonish looking things. I didn't care for it at all, but he found it for 50 cents. He said, "Oh my gosh, look at this. This is cool." So I think I'm going to hang it somehow on my mailbox or make a little flag stick for it. Then I found this little ornament, which I adored because it had all these little shoes on it. It's a Barbie ornament. And I just can't wait to clip all those little shoes off and use them in some of my doll houses in the bedrooms or the closets. I don't really have closets. I have wardrobes. But they're about 1 inch long, these little shoes. And I thought they'd look pretty in some of my miniatures. I found these 2 candy cane forms that I can wrap primitive fabric around and make candy canes. They were 2 for 50 cents. I think they come from the Dollar Tree or Dollar General. They're probably not much more than that there, but I just picked those up. I thought I have all kinds of canvas and muslin and primitive prints. I can make something cute. I found this little tree for $1, and it's just cute in a little burlap sack. I'll probably stick it down in a crock. I'm trying to take pictures of it here so you can see what it looks like, but those little trees are kind of expensive, even at Walmart, so they're kind of nice to pick up. And then in the vintage line, I found this tree skirt. It is so beautiful, and someone handmade it, and it was $1.50. It's all handmade. They even sewed the trim on by hand, and it's put together at the opening with 2 little snaps, and you can tell that they hand sewed the snaps on. And all throughout the tree skirt, they sewed little pearls and buttons on, and oh, it's so pretty. I don't think I'll use it as a tree skirt, but I'll use it. Now, getting back to our fake it till you make it segment. Like I said, when I was younger and had my first house, I wanted Crocs and baskets and old stuff, and I didn't have the money to buy it. So I don't have to do this anymore, but I couldn't pass this up to show you guys what you can do with something that's ugly and cheap. I found this in the gingerbread shed half price thing. When I took the picture to her, I said, "This doesn't have a price." And she said, "Oh, let's say it was $24. Will you give me $12 for it?" And I said, "I absolutely will." And I bought it. Sherry found another one just like it out in the grass, and it had broken. So I knew exactly what I was going to do with this thing. I don't know who painted it like that, but I came home and took the spray paint that I used on my little Christmas plastic house, and I spray painted it. It even has some texture. I'm not so sure, but what it wasn't a real old jug at one time. I would have to strip all the paint off of it to find out. But I'm just showing you guys that you can do this, and I'm going to put some kind of a design on it. And when I do that, I'll show you. But right now, it's like that. Then I found this is fake it till you make it. You know my little quilts I like for my little doll beds? Well, you can buy a quilted placemat or a quilted pillow cover and use those for your little doll quilts. You don't have to make them. You don't have to purchase them at a primitive store. You can make them. Now, this looks pink here, but it's really red. You can just, and if you're going to store it in your little cupboard, like I'm planning on doing when I get my little cupboard out of the snow out by my shop, I might use that for one. You can stack them, and I just fold them and use a safety pin to pin them so they won't pop back open, and stack it in there with all your little quilts. That is, if you don't have a lot of little quilts yet. You'll have them someday, because once you start collecting them and you start putting them in little cabinets, you're going to find them everywhere. So you might not even have to make any. And then there's that little tray I found at Goodwill that I put the little shelves in and made the little cupboard for little of nothing. And I got so aggravated. I put different things in it just to show you what you can put in them. But when I made it, my first thought was this little green bowl that I thrifted a long time ago for like 50 cents. It's the most precious little green bowl, and the other day I went to put it in this cabinet and I dropped it, and I broke it in many pieces. So I glued it back together and I put the best side forward, but I was just sick because that's the cutest little bowl. But I decorated it with different things, and right now it's sitting on top of my pie safe, but I'm going to take it downstairs where all my stuff is really primitive. And looking at it from here, that little bowl doesn't look so bad. But if you look at it up close, I think if I took it apart and used different glue, it would be better, because it's a clean break. But I glued that kind of fast. So my little sleigh, I took some velvet ribbon that I had, probably thrifted, and ran that around the edge of the sleigh. I looked these up on people selling older ones, and they're selling for $20 and $30. Then I hot glued a bunch of stuff on the front to decorate it up a little bit, some more greenery and berries and ribbons, and I thought it looked really pretty. And I'm glad I didn't paint it, because I really like it this color. And then I got to thinking, what should I put inside it? Should I put a Santa? And what I'm going to do is I was going to buy a deer to pull it, but then I got to thinking I'm going to borrow a deer from Brad, because Brad has so many deer and he'll have one that'll be right. So I'm going to borrow it for Christmas. But this is a good time to go through your medicines and throw away medicine that's like 10 years old. I went through our medicine to get little boxes to wrap up, and I found all kinds of old medicine. So I pitched all of that, and I wrapped all the presents the same in little candy cane paper. And I had pudding boxes. We had to eat some pudding. And I had rice boxes and the medicine boxes, and it turned out so cute. I really don't know where I'm going to put it. I do all this for you guys so you can see what you can do with cheap stuff from the thrift store. And then this is a little card that I framed a long time ago with that little tree. I took those little ribbons I ripped off of that material last year that I had on my big tree, and just kind of went around and tucked them around here and there. And this is my pie safe. That big bowl on top was from Rosie many years ago. You can see my jug over there that I painted. It's going to look a lot better next time you see it. Then for my pie safe, I thought, you know what, this year I'm going to do it a little different. I'm going to go through my decorations and just find red and green stuff, vintage stuff to put in it. Now that little record, Rudolph, my son Marcus got that for me for Christmas last year. It's a 45, and that Santa is a napkin. And he's sitting in a plastic strainer that I got at the Dollar General the other day for $1. Actually, I might have gotten it at CVS. But anyway, it was $1. And I thought, you know what, this is plastic. But 30 or 40 years from now, somebody's going to see one of those in a thrift store, and they're going to say, oh, I got one of those at the Dollar Tree or Dollar General years ago for $1. I'm going to buy that. And all the things that we have now are going to be reminiscent someday for somebody in the future that's our age now. You know what I'm saying? If that makes any sense. Then I put my big Norman Rockwell book in there. Guys, this is a great book. If you have a chance to find it at a thrift store or yard sale, or go on thriftedbooks.com, it's only like $4, get it. It's full of stories, poems, pictures, recipes. It's got a great recipe for yeast rolls. So I just stuck that book in there, but I've been looking at it a lot. And then I found these little bells at the thrift store the other day on bag day. I just threw them in the bag, and they're kind of, I don't think they're vintage, but they kind of remind me of what they had when I was a kid. And think about it. Like I said, when we're older, we're going to die. But the people that come after us are going to say, I used to go to the Dollar Tree and the Dollar General, and we used to get those things, and they're going to want them. I think I got this can because it was red and black, and it's got a deer on top, so it will probably become a cookie canister for Brad, but it's in my cabinet for now. And I stuck my little Career Knives tin in the back there. But yeah, just like this little bell. I looked it up, and it's from the 80s, which is, to me, vintage. It's a velvet Santa bell. The bottom of his, I guess it's his bag, is velvet. And somebody will remember that as a decoration from the 80s and want that someday and look it up. People are buying them online for $13 to $15. And I got him on bag sale day for a little of nothing. But he's cute. So that little colander, I just got it because it was evergreen color. And you can always use a little colander, but it's plastic. Then I did find this vintage tin at the thrift store the other day. And I threw it in my bag on bag sale day. They're going to have bag sale for the rest of the month. And I can't hardly wait to go back. Because this week it was regular price and it was still cheap, but it's fun. Then I found this little book at, I can't remember where I found that. It's only about 5 inches tall, and that tall goblet is the one from my grandma's set. I just set it in there because it was green. Then I had this little buttered cookie tin. We used to always get butter cookies at Christmas time, and the tins always look like this. I can't tell if it's real vintage, but it's just the colors I needed. And I just wanted to change it out a little bit. Last year I put all my Santas in there, and it was pretty, but I kind of like this better. And I put another little book in there. I think I showed it to you last year. It's just a little reindeer book. I don't think it's a Christmas book at all. And then I had that little green crock bowl. And then, of course, the day I found all that stuff alongside the road when they were tearing down that house, I found these old Christmas cards in a box, and they're from 1965, I believe, this one. So I stuck it in there. And a little Christmas book that I had made. Anything that had red or green or a vintage look to it, I put in this cupboard. And I just kind of like the way it all turned out. And please, like I said, if you see this book, now I cleaned it the other day. It was a little bit on the dirty side, but it didn't stink or anything. I wiped it down because it's like a paperback cover. It's a big book, and the more I look at it, the more I like it. It's very kind of timeless and just standard Christmas stuff all the way through it. It's got that little story about, yes, Virginia, there's a Santa Claus that tells about that. There's a lot of neat stuff in that book. And then there's another little Christmas book, and the Santa Claus tin is newer but looks vintage. The other tin is vintage that has the old-fashioned Christmas scenes on it. And, excuse me, to me, it's just all about vintage. I don't care if it's primitive, vintage, colonial, just as long as it's looking vintage. Then on the bottom of my pie safe is where I keep my milk glass. So I just took those vintage aprons and folded them up and laid them over the milk glass so that they show the pretty colors and the designs that they have on them. And then my little Christmas in the Little House from Laura Ingalls, I put that next to it. And when you come into the room, it's really pretty looking at it from across the room. So I think I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. And I got in some of my boxes and decided that some of my stuff's not getting put out this year. I'm not going to overload this year. I'm just going to put out what I want to put out, and that's it. And I'm happy with how it all turned out. It all looks Christmassy. Some of the stuff will save till next year. I can put them out next year. And then after I did this, I kept finding more things to put in it. I found my other little sleeping Santa mug, and I stuck it in there. And then I found this little truck that the boys had when they were little. And then I decided to tuck a few little Christmas ornaments in there. And then this is another thing. This was from a couple of years ago from the Dollar Tree, gummies for the kids. And I kept the little box because a lot of people collect Rudolph memorabilia. And even though this is only a couple years old, can you imagine 30 years from now somebody finding that box and they'll say, oh my gosh, this is an old Rudolph box from years ago. So that's the way I think. Here I am over here breaking all the rules. And then my wreath I ended up putting on my turntable. My Lazy Susan that I got that I painted. I put the Lazy Susan. Then I put a silver tray that's real pretty. It's got the most beautiful edges. Then I put the wreath, and then I put the bowl. And then I put all kinds of stuff in the bowl. Some old cookie cutters. You know, I got plenty of those. And some greenery and some candy canes. And you never know what I'm going to throw in that bowl. It's always got something different. That's one of my old tags that I made and one of my butter paddles. And then all those little ribbons that I had on my big tree last year, I cut them down a little bit and put them on my small tree. And I put my salt glazed ornaments that I made on there, and my little cupboards from my dollhouse furniture that I've made with all the little dishes. And just brought up some of my little baskets, and then I found more cookie cutters, and I put them in that bowl. I forgot I had my napkins from Thanksgiving sitting on top of this bowl, and when I moved them the other day, I thought, well, there's more cookie cutters. I think I showed you this picture last time. And then at the gingerbread shed, she had several little bunches of greenery, and she had so much of it. And one little sprig fell on the floor, and when I went to pick it up, it wasn't too much. So I thought, well, I'll buy that and put that in that Salmon Falls pottery piece I found recently, and I really like it. And then my living room tree is, of course, my nativity tree. And after I took this picture, I realized my extension cord's going right up the front back there, and you can't see it in the house when you're there, but you can see it in this picture. And my nativity tree is all just rust colored ornaments, bronze, orange, gold, angels, nativity figures, churches. It's just beautiful. And the raffia that I poke in. And last year I said I was going to buy new raffia, and I didn't do it this year. I put the old raffia back in. It just comes out so pretty, and the rougher it looks, the better it looks. And then I want you guys to make this little ornament. It's so easy to make. Just take a little picture of a song and glue it to a cardstock, and then put some pretty beads underneath it and just hang it on your tree. They're just beautiful. I have several of them on my tree. And these little pieces of paper have been on my nativity tree for probably 20 years. I made them out of just paper. I stained them. I rolled them up like a scroll, and I printed them on my what am I trying to say? My printer. And a little town of Bethlehem. I've got Away in a Manger, and they're getting kind of crinkled up, but I love them, and I stick them. And you don't have to hang them on a hook; just stick them in there somewhere. And then all my little angels, I've thrifted all of this stuff. I didn't even put all my ornaments on this tree because it was getting pretty heavy. And Jeffrey Kevin, I had seen where he took these big cherubs and just tucked them in his tree. So I thought, well, I have one of those, and it's plastic. I might repaint it a different color gold so it doesn't look so plastic, but I just kind of tucked him in there, and he looks really pretty. And all through the year, if I see a orange or bronze or gold ornament that I just can't live without, I buy it. And I've still got probably 30 ornaments that I didn't put on this tree, but it's full, and it's kind of getting heavy on the front. And another trick I do is I'll take cheap mugs, heavy mugs that I get at the thrift store, and tuck them on the back to weight it down, and you can't see them. Now, this nativity tree has been in my house for many, many, many years, and this is a picture of my second cousin, Jake, my cousin Stephanie's little boy. He's a teenager now, but they were at our house one evening, and he got tired, and his mama put him in some pajamas, and he walked up to the tree and just, I don't even think he touched that ornament. He was just letting us know that he was mesmerized by it. And his Aunt Sarah took this picture, and it's the whole family's favorite picture. We keep saying we're going to have a Christmas card made of it, and we need to, but he's just a little doll baby. His name's Jake. Look at his little fat cheeks. And I love this picture so much. So I'll always have my nativity tree so Jake can come and see it. And then this is the little mustard table at the end of my kitchen that's by the window. I found this little, for 25 cents, this little wood thing that has a church that looks like Man's Chapel. That's the little red thing that I got from Rosie's family. And I put the little trains that my boys had in my cabinet. And my books, if they look green or gold or yellow or red, I put those in there. These were already in there, but I tried to make sure everything kind of blended together. Then on top of my little cabinet that I made out of the crate, I put these things, took the pictures, and after I got all the pictures done, I realized that there's still a pumpkin sitting up there. But I'm just going to break some more rules here and say, let's leave the pumpkins out. They're natural. They last. We have them forever if they don't fall apart or rot. And so I ended up putting some pretties in that bowl. And then this little white pumpkin, you guys have seen it for 2 years now in my house. It will not rot. It's fine. I had sprayed it with some sealer before I set it out, and it's fine. And it's white, so I leave it out. Like I said, I'm over here breaking all the rules. Then I decided to stick that little wood piece that has the little church that kind of looks like Man's Chapel in this wall basket that I have, and just kind of tucked it in there with some greenery. And I just moved things around. It's been cold and we've been in, so I just go around and kind of tuck things here, there, and everywhere. This little tree I got at the thrift store. Remember, I went back to get it, and no one had gotten it because they probably think it's ugly. Brad called it a Charlie Brown Christmas tree. I'm not going to put anything on it. I'm just going to leave it sitting there. I just like the greenery look of it, and it'll look good all winter. So, as always, you guys know I love you. I'd like for you to subscribe if you can, because I need to build up my subscribers. And I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. And I just went to another thrift store and got a major haul, and that'll be in the next video.